For years, Lakers fans have carried a quiet regret about the summer of 2019. The summer they thought they had a real shot at Kawhi Leonard and lost him to the team sharing their own arena. But this week, that old wound turned into something else entirely. A resurfaced report is now suggesting that Jeanie Buss didn't just lose out on Kawhi Leonard back in 2019. She may have quietly saved the entire Lakers franchise from a scandal that's rocking the league right now. Here's the specific detail that changed everything. According to a report from The Athletic's Sam Amick, Kawhi's uncle and advisor, Dennis Robertson, walked into that 2019 meeting with a list of demands that had nothing to do with basketball. Partial ownership of the team, a private plane on standby, a house, and guaranteed off-court endorsement money. Every single one of those requests violated the NBA's collective bargaining agreement, and Jeanie Buss said no. That single decision matters today for a very specific reason. Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers are now at the center of a growing NBA investigation into alleged salary cap circumvention, a $28 million endorsement deal with a company that may never have required him to do any actual work. The question fans are now asking is uncomfortable but obvious. If Robertson brought those same demands to the Clippers, and the Clippers said yes, did Steve Ballmer's franchise do exactly what Jeanie Buss refused to allow 6 years ago? The investigation hasn't concluded, but the timing could not be more revealing. Let's go back to that summer kasi du nagsimula ang lahat. It was 2019, just weeks after the Lakers pulled off the blockbuster trade for Anthony Davis. The front office believed they had real momentum to land a second superstar and build a genuine contender around LeBron James. Kawhi Leonard, fresh off a Finals MVP with Toronto, was the big B, just name on the market. On paper, the Lakers had everything. The market, the brand, the roster pieces, the history of superstar pairings going back to Shaq and Kobe, Magic and Kareem. But the negotiation never got that far. Robertson, described in multiple reports as controlling nearly every part of the process, arrived with requests that went far beyond a normal max contract. A partial ownership stake in the team, a private plane available at all times, a house, a guaranteed amount of endorsement income regardless of performance. These weren't unusual asks in the sense of being aggressive negotiating. They were requests that would have required breaking league rules to fulfill. This matters because the NBA's salary cap system exists specifically to prevent teams from finding side door ways to pay players more than the cap allows. Jeanie Buss, as governor, was the one who had to make the call. And according to the report, she told Robertson directly that the requests violated the CBA, then rejected them. Not a soft no, not a let us think about it. A direct refusal on the record immediately. Just weeks later, the Clippers signed Kawhi Leonard to a 3-year, $103 million deal and paired him with Paul George in a move that reshaped the entire Western Conference. The Lakers, meanwhile, were left to build their championship path with the roster they already had, a path that, remarkably, still ended in a title the very next season. That contrast is exactly why this old story matters again right now. On one side, a franchise that walked away rather than bend the rules. On the other, a franchise now facing a formal league investigation into whether it did the opposite. Here's where the story escalates. Journalist Pablo Torre reported that Kawhi Leonard signed a $28 million endorsement deal with a company called Aspiration, a tree planting and sustainability startup these years. That was, according to the reporting, funded in part by $50 million from Clippers owner Steve Ballmer himself. The allegation is direct. This wasn't a real endorsement deal. It was structured, sources say, to get around the salary cap entirely. This is not a minor accusation. If confirmed, it would mean a team owner effectively found a way to pay his own star player millions of dollars outside the system every other franchise has to follow. The exact kind of arrangement Jeanie Buss refused to consider 6 years earlier. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has confirmed the league is actively investigating, and the fallout has already had real consequences. A planned trade that would have sent Kawhi Leonard to the Toronto Raptors on June 30th reportedly stalled specifically because of this investigation. Silver said in mid-July he wanted the process resolved before the summer ended. So the situation is not simply an old story resurfacing for nostalgia. It's an old story that now reads like a preview of a much bigger one. Dennis Robertson, the same uncle who made those demands to the Lakers in 2019, is reportedly connected to the current Clippers investigation as well. The pattern the Lakers refuse to participate in appears to have found a home somewhere else. Kaya naman, mahirap hindi tanungin. Paano kung sumangayon sa Jeanie bus noon? Would the Lakers be the team under league investigation today instead of the Clippers? That question doesn't have a confirmed answer, and nobody involved in the actual reporting has claimed the Lakers did anything wrong. What is clear is that Buss's refusal is now being read less as a missed opportunity and more as a franchise-saving decision. It would be easy to treat this as simply an interesting footnote. But the stakes go further than a 6-year-old negotiation. If the NBA's investigation finds that the Clippers violated the CBA through the aspiration arrangement, the league has the authority to impose significant penalties, fines, forfeited draft, T-picks, and in serious cases, voided contracts. That would not just affect Kawhi Leonard's status. It would reshape the entire competitive balance of the Western Conference, a conference the Lakers still have to compete in every single night. There's also a reputational dimension. The NBA has spent years trying to convince fans that the salary cap system is fair and enforced evenly across all 30 franchises. A finding against the Clippers, especially one involving the owner directly funding the arrangement, would be one of the most serious cap circumvention cases in modern league history. It would also, by direct comparison, make the Lakers' 2019 refusal look less like bad luck and more like institutional discipline. For Jeanie Buss specifically, the story reinforces something she has quietly built a reputation for since taking over control of the franchise: playing the long game rather than chasing a single transaction. The Lakers didn't get Kawhi Leonard in 2019, but they also didn't get entangled in what may become one of the biggest scandals the league has dealt with in years. The league's investigation into Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers is still ongoing, and no formal findings have been announced. What remains clear is that a decision made 6 years ago, a decision that looked at the time like the moment the Lakers lost out on a superstar, is now being viewed through a completely different lens. Sometimes the biggest wins in sports aren't the ones that show up on a stat sheet. Sometimes they're the disasters a franchise simply chose not to walk into.